It was Monday morning in Lincoln High School. Students filled the music room with noise and laughter. But in one corner sat a quiet boy named Marcus Brown. He was 16, tall, thin, and always kept his head down. Everyone called him the quiet boy. Some teachers even joked about him behind his back, but Marcus never said a word. He believed silence was safer than fighting back. The bell rang, and Mr. Henderson, the music teacher, walked in. He was known for his loud voice and sarcastic humor. "All right, class. Today we will have some fun," he said with a smile that didn't look friendly. The class went silent, waiting to see what he meant. His eyes stopped on Marcus. "You there, yes, you, Mr. Brown. Ever touched a piano before?" Marcus froze. He had played piano secretly at church since he was 8, but he never told anyone. "No, sir," he said softly. Mr. Henderson smirked. "Perfect. Let's give him a little stage time." The class laughed. Marcus walked to the front slowly. His hands shook. The piano stood there, shiny, clean, and silent, waiting. "Come on, Marcus," one student whispered. "Show us your magic." Others giggled. They expected him to fail, to look foolish. Mr. Henderson crossed his arms. "Play something, boy. Anything. Maybe Mary had a little lamb." The class roared with laughter. Marcus looked down at the keys. The sound of laughter echoed in his ears, mixing with memories of church night's soft lights. His grandmother's voice saying, "Don't hide your gift, child." He took a deep breath. His fingers touched the keys gently. Then, without warning, a soft melody filled the room. At first, it was quiet, gentle, like a whisper. Then it grew louder, stronger, full of emotion. Every note carried something deep. Pain, hope, courage. The laughter stopped. The only sound was music. Mr. Henderson's smile faded. His arms slowly dropped to his sides. The class stared in silence. Marcus didn't stop. He closed his eyes and let the music speak. His fingers moved fast, like they had a life of their own. The melody turned powerful, almost angry, but still beautiful. It was like the piano was crying and shouting at the same time. When he finished, there was silence for a few seconds. Then one person clapped. Then another. Soon the entire class was on its feet, cheering and shouting. Marcus looked up, surprised. His eyes met Mr. Henderson's, for the first time. The teacher looked speechless. "Well," Mr. Henderson said slowly, "that was unexpected." Marcus stepped back, unsure what to do. He could feel everyone staring at him, not in mockery this time, but in disbelief. Then one student whispered loudly, "He lied. He said he couldn't play." The laughter started again, but now it was mixed with confusion and jealousy. Some clapped sincerely, but others rolled their eyes. Mr. Henderson forced a laugh. "All right, class. Enough drama for one day. Marcus, you can take your seat." Marcus nodded and went back quietly. His heart still beat fast, but something inside him felt different. Stronger. He had shown them who he really was. Even if they didn't want to see it, when the bell rang, everyone rushed out. Still talking about what happened, but outside the classroom door, 2 teachers were standing. One of them said softly, "Did you hear that boy play? That was real talent." The other frowned. "Talent? Yes. But he's trouble waiting to happen. Let's see how long he lasts here." Marcus walked past them and heard every word. His hands tightened around his bag. He didn't know that this was just the beginning. It's the moment that would change everything. Because from that day on, the same people who mocked him would start watching him, some with admiration, and some with envy. And one teacher in particular would make it his mission to either break Marcus or expose him. The music had spoken once, but soon it would roar louder than anyone ever expected. The next morning, Marcus walked through the school hallway with his backpack hanging low. Students moved aside, whispering and staring. Some smiled, some laughed, and some simply looked confused. Yesterday, he was invisible. Today, everyone knew his name. He passed a group of boys near the lockers. "Hey, piano star," one of them shouted. "Play us a tune." They laughed loudly as Marcus kept walking. He didn't reply. He had learned that silence was stronger than anger. But deep inside, something heavy sat in his chest. Not pride, fear. He knew attention never came without a price. In the teacher's lounge, Mr. Henderson sat with a cup of coffee, staring at his phone. The video of Marcus playing piano had spread across the school. Someone had recorded it and posted it online. It already had hundreds of views. "Impressive kid," said Mrs. Clark, the art teacher, sitting beside him. "You should be proud, Henderson." Mr. Henderson's face tightened. "Proud? He lied to me? Said he never played before. Kids like him always act innocent, then try to make fools of teachers." Mrs. Clark frowned. Maybe he just didn't want to show off. But Henderson didn't listen. His pride had been wounded. He was the teacher who mocked a boy, and now the whole school was laughing at him. He made up his mind. Marcus wouldn't be the star of his class for long. Later that day, during lunch break, Marcus sat alone on a bench outside. The wind moved through the trees, and he could hear distant chatter and laughter. He opened his lunchbox, but before he could eat, a shadow fell over him. It was Ethan, a popular boy from the music club. He played guitar and loved being the center of attention. "Hey, you're Marcus, right?" Ethan said with a smile that didn't look friendly. Marcus nodded. "I saw your video," Ethan said. "You're good. But don't get too confident. Piano's old school. People like guitars now." Marcus stayed quiet. Ethan leaned closer. "You should join the music club. Maybe we'll let you play background music for us." He smirked. "You know, something easy?" Marcus looked up and said softly, "Music isn't about easy or hard. It's about what you feel." Ethan's smile faded. "We'll see about that," he muttered, and walked away. That evening, when Marcus got home, his grandmother was sitting by the window, knitting, as always. "How was your day, child?" she asked gently. Marcus smiled faintly. "Strange. People noticed me today." His grandmother looked at him carefully. "Notice is good if it's for the right reason. But remember, when people see light, some want to shade it." Marcus nodded, though he didn't fully understand. Later, in his small room, he sat at his old keyboard. It was missing 2 keys, but it was his safe space. He began to play again, the same melody from yesterday, but this time slower, softer. As he played, tears rolled down his cheeks. He wasn't crying because he was sad. He was crying because he finally felt alive. But outside his window, a car was parked. Inside sat Mr. Henderson, watching. He had followed Marcus's home, curious and suspicious. When he saw Marcus playing, his eyes narrowed. This boy didn't learn that on his own, he whispered to himself. Someone's training him. Someone's helping him. The next day at school, Marcus was called to the principal's office. Mr. Henderson stood there with folded arms. The principal smiled kindly. "Marcus, Mr. Henderson tells me you have a gift. We're planning a school concert next month. Would you like to perform?" Marcus looked surprised. "Yes, sir. I'd love to." "Good," the principal said. "It will be a big event. Parents, guests, even reporters will come." Mr. Henderson forced a smile, hiding his true thoughts. He wasn't planning to celebrate Marcus. He was planning to expose him. As Marcus walked out, students stared at him again, whispering. Some jealous, some impressed. But no one knew that behind the curtain of applause, a trap was being set, a trap that would test not just Marcus's talent, but his heart. Days turned into weeks, and Lincoln High buzzed with excitement about the coming spring concert. Posters filled the hallways, and everyone talked about who would perform. But one name stood out more than any other, Marcus Brown. Some students called him the piano kid. Others whispered that his performance would make the school famous. Yet Marcus didn't feel proud. He felt watched. Everywhere he went, eyes followed him, some curious, some cold. Mr. Henderson had changed too. He no longer joked with Marcus in class. Instead, he smiled politely, pretending to help him with practice. But every smile hid something sharp behind it. One afternoon, Marcus entered the music room to rehearse. The room was empty, except for Mr. Henderson. "Ah, Marcus," the teacher said, his voice too sweet. You've been practicing, I hope? Yes, sir, Marcus replied softly. Good, Henderson said, standing behind him. Let's see what you can really do. Play that song, the one you played that day. Marcus sat at the piano. His fingers hovered over the keys. He began to play, soft, slow, beautiful. But halfway through, a loud clang echoed. One of the keys stuck. Marcus frowned, pressed again, nothing. Oh dear, Henderson said with fake concern. Looks like the piano's broken. Guess you'll need to fix your timing before the concert. Weiss nodded, though inside he felt uneasy. He was sure the piano had been fine the day before. After he left, Mr. Henderson bent over the piano, twisting a small screw with a smirk. Let's see how perfect you sound when your own instrument betrays you, he whispered. That evening, Marcus sat on the school steps alone. He could hear other students laughing nearby. His friend from math class, Liam, came over. You okay, man? Marcus nodded. Just nervous. Shouldn't be, Liam said. You're the best. My sister still talks about your first performance. Marcus smiled faintly. Sometimes I think the better you do, the more people want to see you fall. Liam sighed. That's true. But don't let them win. Before leaving, Liam handed him a small flash drive. Here, I recorded a few piano tutorials and soundtracks. Thought it might help. Marcus's face lit up. Thanks, Liam. That night, Marcus plugged the drive into his old laptop. As the soft sound of piano music filled his room, his grandmother appeared at the door. Still awake? Just listening, he said. She sat beside him. You remind me of your father when you play, she said softly. Marcus looked up. You never talk about him. He had talent too, she whispered, but the world was not kind to him. Promise me, Marcus, no matter what happens, never let them take your gift. Marcus nodded. He didn't know it yet, but her words would soon echo painfully. The next morning, the school buzzed louder than usual. Rumors spread that someone from a famous music academy would attend the concert. Everyone was trying harder except Marcus, who was quietly focused. During lunch, Ethan, the guitar boy, approached him again. Hey, piano star, he said with a grin. Heard the scouts are coming. Hope you don't mess up. Would be embarrassing. Marcus simply said, We'll see. Ethan's grin vanished. Cocky now, huh? Don't forget who runs the stage. As Ethan walked away, Mr. Henderson stepped out from behind a pillar, listening. His plan was working. Tension was rising. He had told Ethan to make Marcus nervous, to shake his confidence, and Ethan didn't even know he was being used. Finally, concert day arrived. The stage was decorated with golden lights, the audience buzzing with excitement. Parents, teachers, and students filled every seat. Behind the curtain, Marcus sat at the piano, taking deep breaths. Mr. Henderson stood nearby with his clipboard, pretending to check notes. Ready, Marcus? Yes, sir, Good Henderson said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Give them a performance they'll never forget. Marcus looked away. Henderson slipped a small paper into his folder. It read, Key D for jammed. Ignore the noise. Marcus didn't see it yet. The lights dimmed. The host announced, Please welcome our final performer, Marcus Brown. Cheers filled the hall. Marcus stepped forward, heart pounding, eyes on the shining piano. He sat down, fingers trembling. Unaware that one key on that piano was waiting to ruin everything, he closed his eyes. The room went silent, and as his first note echoed, Mr. Henderson smiled in the dark, whispering to himself, Let's see how you handle this, boy. The crowd clapped as Marcus sat at the piano. The stage lights burned bright, turning his dark skin into a bronze glow. His hands hovered above the keys, trembling slightly. Behind the curtain, Mr. Henderson watched with a cold smile, waiting for the show to fall apart. Marcus took a deep breath. In his mind, he heard his grandmother's voice. Play from your heart, not from fear. The first notes flowed gently, smooth as water. The audience leaned forward, caught by the sound. His melody painted pictures. A lonely boy, a stormy night, a fragile hope. Every key told a story. But then it happened. When Marcus reached the chorus, his finger hit key D4, the broken key. A harsh metallic sound burst from the piano. The audience gasped. Marcus froze. The echo hung in the air like a mistake that couldn't be erased. Mr. Henderson smiled quietly. Marcus tried again, pressing the key harder, nothing but a dull thud. He felt his heartbeat in his throat. The whispers started from the crowd. He's messing up. What happened? I thought he was good. His vision blurred. Sweat rolled down his temple. For a moment, he wanted to run. He could already imagine tomorrow, the laughter, the gossip, the mocking. Then he saw something. In the front row, his grandmother was sitting, eyes full of calm strength. She wasn't disappointed. She was proud. Her lips moved silently. Don't stop. Marcus took another breath. He looked at the piano, his enemy, and his friend. Slowly, his fingers moved again. This time, he avoided the broken key, twisting the melody, changing the rhythm. The tune transformed into something new, deeper, darker, full of fire. The mistake became the music. The broken sound became part of the song. The audience went silent. Even Mr. Henderson's smile faded. Marcus's hands flew over the keys, creating a storm of emotion. The notes rose and fell like waves, sadness, anger, hope, all blending together. The broken piano couldn't stop him now. It became part of his voice. When the final note rang out, the hall stayed silent for 3 long seconds. Then applause. Loud, unstoppable applause. People stood up, cheering, shouting his name. Marcus stood, breathing hard, his hands shaking. He bowed once, looking straight at his grandmother. She had tears in her eyes. Backstage, Mr. Henderson waited. When Marcus walked off, the teacher's face was red with frustration. You were lucky, Henderson hissed quietly. The key jammed, and somehow you turned it into whatever that was. Marcus looked at him calmly. It wasn't luck, sir. It was music. Henderson's jaw tightened. Don't get arrogant. You embarrassed this school with your little tricks. You think the world will clap forever? It won't. Marcus said nothing. He walked past him, still hearing the applause echoing in his ears. Later that night, the school hallway was quiet. Marcus stayed behind to help the janitor clean up. As he folded chairs, he heard footsteps behind him. It was Ethan, holding his guitar case. Nice show, Ethan said, his tone unreadable. Didn't think you'd pull it off? Thanks, Marcus said, not looking up. Ethan hesitated. You know Henderson's been talking. Says you messed with the piano yourself to look like a hero? Marcus froze. What? Yeah, he's telling people you've planned it. That you broke the key to make the performance dramatic. Hey. Marcus's heart dropped. That's not true. Ethan shrugged. But people love a story more than the truth. He turned to leave. Good luck, piano boy. You'll need it. Marcus stood there, alone again. The cheers from earlier were gone, replaced by whispers he couldn't control. When he stepped outside, the night air felt heavy. His grandmother's car headlights blinked from across the parking lot. She waved, smiling softly. He walked toward her, trying to smile back, but inside he felt something shifting. The concert had made him a star. But stars also attract shadows, and in those shadows someone was already planning his fall. The next morning, Marcus walked into school expecting smiles, congratulations, maybe even a few handshakes. Instead, he met whispers. Eyes followed him down the hallway, but this time, they weren't filled with admiration. They were filled with doubt. 2 girls near the lockers whispered loudly on purpose. I heard he broke the piano key himself. Yeah, Mr. Henderson said it was all an act. Marcus felt a chill crawl down his spine. He walked faster, but every few steps another voice echoed. He just wanted attention. It was fake. It's not that good. By the time he reached the music room, his hands were shaking. The door was half open. Inside, Mr. Henderson stood with the principal, his voice calm but poisonous. Yes, sir, I found the screw loose on the key after the performance. It's suspicious. Maybe Marcus wanted to create drama. Marcus froze at the door. The principal sighed. That's a serious claim, Mr. Henderson. Are you sure? I'm only saying what the evidence shows, Henderson said with a fake frown. Sometimes students want fame so badly, they cross the line. That's not true. Both men turned. The principal looked surprised, but Henderson smiled thinly. "Marcus, I didn't see you there." Marcus's voice trembled, but his words were firm. "You know, I didn't break anything. Then how do you explain it?" Henderson said. "No one else touched that piano." Marcus clenched his fists. He couldn't prove anything. No cameras, no witnesses. Only his word against his teachers. The principal raised his hand. "Enough. I'll look into this. Until then, let's stay calm." But calm was impossible. By lunch, the story had spread through the whole school. Someone even edited a video of his performance with the title, "Fake Piano Hero Exposed." Marcus sat in the cafeteria alone, head down, pretending not to hear the laughter. Liam came over, tray in hand. "Hey, ignore them," he said softly. "They'll forget soon." "They won't. Henderson won't let them." Liam frowned. "You think he's behind all this?" "I know he is." Liam hesitated, then said, "What if we prove it?" Marcus blinked. "How?" Liam leaned closer. "Remember the USB drive I gave you? It records too. You plugged it in before practice that day, right?" Marcus's heart skipped. "Wait. Yes. It was still connected when I played." "Then maybe," Liam said with a grin, "it caught something you didn't notice." That night, Marcus ran home and opened his laptop. His hands shook as he opened the USB folder. Inside were a few music files and one small audio file named practice_recording. He clicked it. At first he heard the sound of him playing soft notes, then the sudden clang of the broken key. Then a faint voice in the background, "Let's see how perfect you sound when your own instrument betrays you." It was Mr. Henderson. Marcus froze. His heart pounded in his ears. The recording was faint, but clear enough. Proof. He ran to his grandmother's room. She was praying quietly. "Grandma," he said breathlessly. He did it. Henderson broke the piano key. "I have proof." She looked at him gently. "Are you sure, child?" "Yes. I heard him say it." Her face grew serious. "Then don't rush for revenge. The truth needs calm hands, not angry ones." Marcus nodded, though anger burned inside him like fire. The next morning, he went straight to the principal's office. "Sir, I have something to show you," he said. Plugging in the USB, the principal listened, his eyes narrowing as Henderson's voice played. When it ended, the room was silent. Mr. Henderson, standing nearby, turned pale. That's edited?" he shouted. "It's fake." The principal looked disappointed. "Enough, Mr. Henderson. You'll be suspended while we investigate." Marcus stood there, silent but strong. The truth had spoken, but as he walked out, a strange feeling hit him. Not victory, but fear. Because when people like Henderson fall, they don't fall quietly. And Marcus could already sense it. This wasn't the end. It was the calm before the storm. A week passed after the recording was revealed. Mr. Henderson had been suspended. But the school buzzed with chaos. Some students whispered apologies to Marcus. Others stayed quiet, embarrassed that they had believed lies. But for Marcus, victory didn't feel sweet. It felt empty. Every hallway he walked down reminded him of the laughter, the rumors, the pain. One afternoon, Marcus sat in the empty music room. The same piano stood before him, repaired, polished, shining again. But he couldn't bring himself to touch it. He just stared. The door creaked open. It was Mrs. Clark, the art teacher. "Mind if I come in?" she asked softly. Marcus nodded. She walked closer, her heels tapping lightly on the floor. "You've been avoiding the piano," she said. Marcus sighed. "It doesn't feel the same anymore." Mrs. Clark smiled gently. "You know, a broken instrument doesn't mean broken music. It means new sound, new strength." Marcus looked at her, thinking about her words. "But what if people only remember the lies?" "They won't," she said. "Not if you play again. Truth has a sound too, Marcus. You just have to let people hear it." That night at home, his grandmother placed an old newspaper clipping on his desk. It showed a young man playing piano on stage, his father. "He played for people who didn't believe in him either," she said quietly. "But he played anyway. Because he knew music was bigger than hate? Marcus touched the photo. His father's smile was wide, proud, fearless. Did he ever stop playing? She shook her head. No, child. Even when the world turned its back, he kept the melody alive. Marcus looked at the piano in the corner of his room, the one missing 2 keys, and felt something light inside him flicker again. A few days later, the principal called him to his office. Marcus, he said kindly, next week is our annual charity event. The board wants you to perform. People want to hear you again, to hear your truth. Marcus hesitated. What if I fail? The principal smiled. You've already faced worse. This time, you'll be playing for yourself. The night of the charity concert arrived. The auditorium was full again. Teachers, students, even reporters. The air buzzed with quiet excitement. Marcus walked on stage, not with fear this time, but with calm determination. He looked around and saw familiar faces, Liam giving him a thumbs up, Mrs. Clark nodding, his grandmother smiling proudly from the front row. He sat at the piano. The same seat, same stage, but a different heart. He placed his fingers on the keys and began to play. The melody started soft, like a whisper from the past, the pain, the humiliation, the anger. Then it grew, rising into something powerful, hopeful, free. Every note carried his story. The broken key that had betrayed him once now sang perfectly. The piano didn't fight him anymore, it danced with him. The audience was silent, completely still, caught in the wave of sound. And as the last note faded, Marcus looked up, tears shining in his eyes. The hall erupted in applause, louder than before, stronger, real. Even Mr. Henderson, sitting quietly at the back, allowed to attend as a visitor, stood up slowly and clapped. Shame filled his eyes, but also something else. Respect. Marcus didn't hate him anymore. He didn't need to. After the show, reporters asked him, "What message do you have for people who doubted you?" Marcus smiled. "Don't play for their approval. Play for your truth. The world can laugh today, but one day it will listen." Outside, as the night breeze touched his face, he looked up at the stars. Bright, endless, free. His grandmother joined him, holding his hand. "You did it," she whispered. He smiled softly. "No, Grandma, we did it." From that day, the name Marcus Brown wasn't a joke. It was a symbol of strength, of forgiveness, of a boy who turned mockery into music, and somewhere deep in his heart, he knew his story wasn't ending. It was only the beginning of a melody the world would never forget.